What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where I, Graham, G.S. and Matthews, break down all the original content I watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the August 22nd, 2022 edition of Raw Talk, hosted by Jackie Redmond and Matt Camp. Before they start the show, formally, they just replay the Johnny Gargano return from Raw, which was obviously the highlight of the night. And I thought it was a very good episode of Raw overall. But that was obviously the best part of the show, with Gargano coming out as a surprise and confronting and talking and attacking Theory and whatnot. So they replay that, not the entirety of it, but the highlights from it, which was great. From there, they run down the biggest headlines from the show before recapping the main event that saw Edge beat Damian Priest in a very good match, and Beth Phoenix coming to the aid of Edge afterward, her husband, against the Judgment Day. Matt Camp and Redmond also talk about Austin Matthews, the fucking hockey player, and at that point I just kind of tuned out a little bit because I don't give a fuck about hockey, so why would that pertain to me at all? But they also recap the Kevin Owens win over Chad Gable. Backstage, Kevin Patrick catches up with Kevin Owens, who's seemingly a bit more friendly now. I don't know if he's a babyface or if it's just because they were in Canada, but he was a lot nicer here to Kevin and Patrick than we've seen in the past. Probably because he's motivated that he's got an actual push now, a meaningful push as a single star in the Raw brand, which is great. Kevin kind of reiterates what we've heard from him in recent weeks on Raw, and that he's overdue for a title run. When he first showed up on the main roster from 2014 to 2015, he talks about how he had a title all the time. Within 2 months of arriving in NXT, he was the NXT champion. After arriving on the main roster, he was Intercontinental Champion within a few months, lost it, got it back 2 months later, lost it, Universal Champion within a couple of months. After that, he was United States Champion almost immediately, 3 times, and then he hasn't held that championship or any championship in 5 years, almost exactly 5 years since his last championship run. And things didn't work out, not because of a lack of effort on his end, but just things didn't work out for whatever reason, for stuff beyond his control. But he does acknowledge things have changed. There's a lot of change going on lately in WWE, and he didn't think it was time to evolve, but rather a time to go back to what worked for him previously. Because that prize fighter Kevin Owens always worked for him in the past, and the Kevin Owens show, he promises, is back and better than ever. And I thought his promo here was great. In the studio, Booker, who is the special guest analyst for this episode, says that Kevin Owens has been working on his physique and he's gotten himself into prime wrestling shape. And I thought so too. I thought he looked a bit slimmer on Raw this week. I thought it might have been just me, but Booker acknowledging that as well means I'm not crazy. He also talks about Edge and Judgment Day and how that feud is just getting started based off what we saw after Edge and Priest was over. They replay Bayley's win over Aaliyah. They recap Alexa Bliss and Asuka losing to Dakota, Kai, and Skye in the semifinals of the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament. Backstage, I feel like they're on Raw talking smack all the fucking time now, or rather SmackDown Lowdown, but this is like the 3rd or 4th time we've heard from Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Skye on one of these shows in the last month. But I'm not complaining because they're very entertaining and they're a great trio. Bayley kind of takes a step back. She doesn't really talk as much, really, at all. Dakota Kai simply says that they can do anything better than their opponents can. And says that they put their opponents on notice for Clash at the Castle. And Dakota Kai says that they'll be, come Clash at the Castle, they will be the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, which the finals of said tournament, I guess, are taking place next week on Raw. So I look forward to that. Matt Camp picks DeVille and Natalya to advance in the tournament after, unfortunately, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane had to be bumped from the tournament after winning last week on SmackDown as Toxic Attraction. Gigi Dolan, I guess, got hurt, so she cannot compete. DeVille and Natalya are his pick to advance in the second chance Fatal 4-Way before, in my opinion, also losing to Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah. And that's my pick as well for Sonya and Natalya to advance, but they'll lose in the semifinals to Raquel and Aaliyah. They also replay Dexter Lumis kidnapping The Miz. Backstage, Bianca tells Sarah Schreiber that, Trish Stratus is a legend and she's got her back, and she also has the backs of her partners, Alexa Bliss and Asuka, come Clash at the Castle, and they will walk into that pay-per-view a united front. And that was about all she said in this backstage interview. Back in the studio, Booker says that Bayley's back with a vengeance on Raw, and they will be a force to be reckoned with. As far as the Rollins and Riddle progression of that program, he previews their face-to-face, confrontation next week on Raw, coming off their brawl this week. And then to close out the show, they promote Drew McIntyre and Bret Hart, speaking of Canada, for the bump on Wednesday. So overall, a solid edition of Raw Talk. We did not hear from Gargano. He had his own little promo on a WWE.com YouTube exclusive. But we did hear from Bianca, we heard from Dakota Kai, Bayley, and Skye again. And Kevin Owens' promo was the best part of this whole thing. Kevin Owens is always a gem on this show. He's always been a gem in these post-show interviews, so I'm glad we got to hear from him here on Raw Talk. So thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Be sure to like the video, drop a comment, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more daily content. And if you haven't already from last Friday, check out my exclusive interview with the man I mentioned earlier, Edge, the Rated R Superstar, here on the channel, talking all about the match with Damian, his A&E doc, and so much more. And we got another new interview coming up on Friday of this week with, I think either Friday or this weekend at some point, with Rey Mysterio. So keep an eye out for that as well. Have an awesome one, guys. I'm Graham G. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.